certain things you guys have probably come in knowing already. I want to give us a situation where the definition is just going to naturally come up. So let's say there's something I want to say about, I want to analyze all gross 1 students. I want to be able to say something about all gross 1 students. For example, something boring would be the percentage of gross 1 students who smoke. Right? I want to be able to say something about that. Are you with me? Somebody have an example, something else I might want to know, like the average height or the percentage of gross 1 students who do something. Those are the two main things we study. Anybody have a different situation? You guys don't want to know shit about?
Units enrolled.
The average number of units people are enrolled in? Okay. All right, so let's say we want to know the average number of units that all gross 1 students are enrolled in. So right there, what's our population? What's the main group we want to say something about? All gross 1 students. I love it. I love it. So population, specifically for this thing we're talking about, would be all gross 1 students. But in general, it would be just the collection of everybody or everything we want to say something about. So normally a key word, it didn't always have to be this way, but a key word would be all. Right? Like all Irish setters do this or something. That would be a population of Irish setters. Right? No idea where that example came from. So we have a population that we want to say something about. Now let's say it's just us. The people with all the data don't want to help us. They're like, no, we're not going to give you students shit. So we have to actually go talk to people. Do you know how many people go to Grossmont? How many students go here? And you're like, well, from the parking, it looks like about 1 billion. But it's actually roughly, I think it's right now 19,000. 19,000 students. Now, some of them are online, but most of them do come here to the college, and they take your spot. Yeah, do we have the ability, the time, the resources to go talk to every of the 19,000 students? No. So what are we going to do? We're going to take a sample. I love it. So in this case, let me ask you, so in general, I'm going to put in parentheses here what the general definition is, and here I'm going to put what specifically we're going to do for this. So in general, a sample is just a subgroup selected from the population. Notice that the population and the sample are groups of things. So on a quiz, for example, if I say, what is the population here? And you write an idea, like the study of this. No. It's got to be a group of things. That's what they are primarily. This is the group of everything, and this is the subgroup that you're actually going to work with. So how could we pick a sample? Would you guys, if I picked you guys, would that be a good sample? Why would you guys not be a good sample? Is it because you're bad people? I don't know you well enough. Too small. You might think it's too small, but it's actually pretty decent. It's not the best. Bigger would be better, but this still could be a good size sample. But I agree with you. Bigger sample is always better. Why would a bigger sample be better? Because why?
It represents the population.
Yeah, we'd be more sure about it. It would have to represent the population, but we'd be more sure about what we're getting. I can pick 2 people in here and get wildly crazy results. But if I pick 30 people from in here, it's going to be close to the actual average, whatever. Right? Okay. But why are you guys a bad sample? It's not really the size, although bigger is better. This is still not a horrible size sample. What else is bad about you guys? Why won't you do what you just said? You want it to represent the population, so why don't you guys do that?
One class. One class.
One class
We're probably closer to the
might be closer to the same age for a couple reasons. The time of day and the level of study, right? I like it. There's still going to be variation in age, but it's probably closer than it would have been if it would have been truly random. I like it. What's wrong with the fact that it's just one class?
Well, taking a math class, so like the different majors might be taking different math.
I love it. So that's it. My data might be skewed, might be biased, because there's a reason you guys took this course. And that reason might have something to do with what I'm analyzing. I don't know, right? You guys weren't randomly selected. There's a reason you're here. In fact, you would be what I would call a convenience sample, as an actual term from chapter 1. A convenience sample, it's really convenient. I can just say, tell me this, or you fail. So I'm going to get data no matter what. So how can I pick a better sample? What would be a way that I could get a better sample besides just you guys? Say again? Now be a lot more specific. So my goal is for a random sample. But what the hell does that mean? What has to happen so it's truly representative of the whole population? What do you think has to happen?
Put all the names.
Yeah, okay. So that's one way we could just get all the students' names
Right.
somehow, get them in this giant freaking hat, have somebody jump in, right? Grease them up, throw them in there, and whatever names stick, that'll be who we take, right? A weird day. He's running away. I can't catch him. He's Okay. So why is that better? Why is that better? There's a certain thing we want to have happen to make sure that it's a random sample. Why does this suck? It's one class. You guys are taking this class for a reason. There are some people who would never take Math 160, right? There are some people who hate me, which is fine. I don't care. In fact, some people I want to hate me, or else I feel like I'm not doing a good job. So they would never take me, right? So what's wrong with that then? There's a part of the population that could never be a part of the sample. Now inherently, once I pick a sample, there are certain people I didn't pick. That's not the point. Everybody in the population has to have an equal chance to get into the sample. That's what makes it random. That sounds like a note. So random sample. Everything or one in the population must have an equal chance to be chosen for the sample. So obviously, if I just chose my stats class, then that's going to eliminate everybody else from having a chance. So from the get-go, it's not something I can trust. Now, maybe you guys just happen to randomly be a great representation of the college. It's possible. It's not everything that doesn't follow this is automatically bad. But I can't trust anything. If I did a study with just you guys and tried to say it represents all of Grossmont, you couldn't trust it. You can't. It's just, you didn't even try to make it random, so I can't trust what you find. So the names in a hat would work. Any other way to do it? Besides just names in a hat? Let's say we...
Select from different majors.
Okay, select from different majors. So somehow break the students up into groups and then select. So maybe, what if I chose a couple people from every classroom on campus right now? Would that be good enough?
You missed the online component.
Miss the online, I miss the people that can only come here in the evening, I miss the people that can only come here in the morning, I miss the people that can only come here on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I could do that sort of thing as long as I choose not just across classrooms, but across days and times. Then I'm starting to approach a random sample. And I've got to include the online somehow too. You guys get the feel for this? Now you see why they call the opposite of that convenience. Because you don't even try. There's a lot of work that goes into making it truly random. Okay, I like it. Names in a hat. Select students from each major. Oh my gosh. I was going to say you're going to learn very quickly, but you already have learned that I write horribly bad. It's not to the point where I can't read it. I had a teacher once that wrote so bad, somebody would say, "What'd you write on the first line?" And he would say, "Does somebody remember what I wrote on the first line?" And I'm like, if I ever say that, I got to retire. At that point, you just got to say, "I'm done," hang up my marker, and just fade away. All right. So how are we doing so far? We've only got 2 words now, but we're pretty good. These are words that you guys already knew coming in. Population and sample. You know those words. Here's a word you don't know. So remind me, what is it we're trying to say again? What are we trying to say about these people? The average number of units they're enrolled in, right? So there's something called a parameter. And that would be a numerical measurement describing the population. Notice something really nice. Population parameter. Parameter population, right? That doesn't happen very often in math, but there you go. It happened right there. What's really nice is if the sample has its own S word, and yes, it does. That's really, really nice. So if you mess this up, I don't know what to do for you. So in this case, the numerical measurement describing the population would be the average number of units that all gross month students are enrolled in, right? Oh my gosh. I thought something was going freaky with me. I thought my vision was going all weird. All right. So the parameter describes the population. There's statistic. There's an actual word, statistic. The statistic describes the sample the same way. Thank God. That's awesome. Statistic, sample. So it's numerical measurement describing the sample. Same stuff. So the statistic will sound exactly like the parameter, except one will say blah, 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 blah of all, blah, blah, and the other will say blah, blah, blah of the sample, blah, blah. So this would be the statistic specifically for us would be average number of units taken by our sample. Our sampled students. You guys with me? So the parameter always describes the entire population. So it's not always this, but the word all is a huge giveaway. But it could be something similar to that, like every or whatever. And the statistic is the same exact thing, but it just describes the sample instead. So if I said 22% of my sample smoke, that's the statistic. If I said 22% of all gross month students smoke, that would be a parameter. Let that be nice, right? Evil stuff is coming. That's a nice thing. Okay, I like it. So far, so good. Now, all right, so here's the group we want to say something about and the group we're going to work with. Here's what we call saying something about this group, and here's what we call saying something about this group. All right, so we got that set up. Now, once we get this group, what are we going to immediately do with them? What are you going to do with them when you get the group? Let's say you're in the group. What am I going to do right now? Well, I got you all together. What am I going to do? Yes. So I'm going to ask you a question, right? What question am I going to ask you? How many units you take? That's what we want to know. All right. So there's the next thing here. This is a very familiar word, and it means the same thing. It just means that in using English statements nowadays. So it's called the variable. And of course, from algebra, the variable is the thing that can take on a lot of values. Right? So I call it variable. It varies. In statistics, the variable is the question. It's related to the question that I ask. Because how many answers could there be to that question? Several, right? You could have somebody taking 1 unit all the way up to like 20 some odd units. Can you imagine that? Who thinks they're taking the most units in here right now? Anybody? How many units you got?
20?
20. 17? All right, second place. Okay? He beat you. All right, 20 is crazy. But you guys understand what I mean? That's why it's called the variable. The variable is related to the question that you're asking. Right? So the variable related to the question you're asking. So specifically here, what would the variable be? For us, right now, the variable would be, well, what question am I asking? I would ask you, how many units are you taking? So the variable is the number of units that you're taking. Yes, ma'am.
Do we have to be as specific as putting each sample student or like when you knock us off?
If you, sorry, just say it again?
Like the number of units each sample student is taking, do you have to be completely clear like that or like?
So here's the thing. I never ask you a straight up like define this word question. Never. I always ask you a question like I give you a situation and I say identify the population, the sample, the parameter, the statistic, and so forth, right? And you'll see that in the homework too. I hate asking just straight up define this word. I want you to be able to use the words correctly, right? So yeah, the variable, if you said each student from the sample, sure. And that's kind of like what I was implying here, but you're right.
But you don't have to.
You don't have to. Because it's kind of, when you say variable, I know I'm talking about the sample. They're the only people I'm talking to. I like it. Now, if there's a statistical word related to the question I'm asking, there must be one related to the answers I get. Right? And the answers I get, that's the main statistical word people know. And all the answers I get, you say 19, you say 20, you say 17, you say 3, you say 15. Or write them all down. What is that? That is the data. I love it. So the answer, the data is related to the answers you get. Get out of there. There you go. I love it. I mean, you let this flow. You got a group you want to say something about and a group you can actually work with. And then you have what it is that you want to say about the population. The parameter is what you really want to say about everybody, and the statistic is what you're going to say about the group you're working with. And then you got a question you ask the group and the answers you get from the group. I mean, it kind of flows. These words, this terminology kind of flows through the story of how we do a statistical experiment. I like it. And now, of course, once you get the data, you can analyze it. You can get an average. You can get the percentage of students who are taking less than 12 units, whatever, however you need to look at it. Right? That's why a true statistician, we get all excited when we get raw data that nobody's done shit with. Well, yes. Because then we just do whatever the hell we want to with it. We just want that raw data. Okay. Which way do I want to go from there? Oh, good. Oh, all right, let's break it down like that. I like it. Yeah. Where's that come in? Later, okay. Are you guys holding up pretty well? I want to warn you, if you haven't realized this yet, I mean, there's a lot of words, and you have to know them, so if we use them, you know what the hell they mean. There's also going to be a lot of reading, right? There's going to be situations given to you. You have to read through it and see what to do. And there's also going to be a lot of times in your answers, you got to include a conclusion or an explanatory statement. So I always have some people that are either they feel like they're not the best writers. I'm not going to check your grammar necessarily. I might feel impelled to put something. But you're not going to lose points if your grammar's bad. But still, you have to be a decent reader, get the comprehension, get everything you need from a problem, and then you have to be somebody who can put together an idea, write it down, and give it back to me. Right, so that's going to be a part of this class, and that's why people feel like it's not really a math class. But math is not just x plus 3y equals 7. That's not all math is, right? So let's do this. Let's do this here, and then I think, what time we got? Is there a clock in there? Yeah. Oh, we got plenty of time. Awesome. You guys are like, oh, shit. Two main types of data. And then we're going to actually break it down even further. But the two main types are qualitative and quantitative. What's the root word sound like for qualitative? What's up? Qualitative, what's the root word? What's it sound like? Quality. So this is going to be a quality, so it's going to be categorical. It's going to be name data, like hair color or car type, something like that. So qualitative is categorical or name data. It's not truly numerical. Even though there are numbers that could qualify. Social Security number is a number. But is it truly numerical? What the hell do I mean by truly numerical? If I take my Social Security number and subtract your Social Security number, does that mean something? No. So doing numerical things with these don't make sense. They're not truly numerical. Your Social Security number is another name for you. What about jersey number? One semester, I was teaching a class with some women basketball players. And I said, if you take Jessica's jersey number and you subtract Michelle's jersey number, doesn't mean, and they went, oh my God, you get her. Because it was 17 and 14 and 3. I was like, oh shit. But a jersey number is just another name for you. The announcer could be like, there goes number 17 down the sideline. You know, that's your name, right? So jersey number, Social Security number, obviously hair colors, other things that are pure names, they're qualitative. So quantitative, that root word, of course, is quantity. So that's stuff you can measure. That's truly numerical data, where you can subtract and maybe divide and do numerical stuff with them, and it makes sense. Truly numerical. Often measurements. But not just measurements, but anything that's truly numerical, you can subtract and it makes sense. You can do all this stuff. Everybody with it's not just a name for something, it's more than it's a measurement of something somehow. I like it. So, you know, age, weight, height, all those, any measurement you can think of is basically going to be quantitative. Bless you. Okay, not too bad, right? Those two are nice. I like it. Those are a pretty hard divide between the two. Then comes these four that are not quite as immediately simple. You have something called nominal. People mess this up all the time because nominal sounds like number. This is the exact opposite. Anybody know plume de nom? Like Stephen King used to write under when he first started writing it, he went under the plume de nom, the pen name Richard Bachman. And some of that shit was crazy. Anybody read Stephen King? Anybody? Anybody read? Yes, okay. Read, that's old school shit. Nominal is pure name data. So you might think, well, that's going to be all the qualitative stuff, but no. There's a second thing. Let me put this down at the same time. Called ordinal. Can you imagine what ordinal means? Order. There's their names where they require a certain order to make sense. So nominal is just names. Like hair color. Jersey number even. Like if you're number 7, you're not better than me because I'm number 9 or something, right? I mean, that's just our names. Ordinal data is where order, not just it can be put in order, but that it has to be in a certain order to make sense. So car, types of cars in the parking lot, not ordinal, it's just nominal. Because if I said, oh yeah, I see a Hyundai and a BMW, you wouldn't go, what the shit, BMW before Hyundai? You know, who cares? Who cares which order it's in? Right? So that's pure name data. I always say BMW Hyundai because I just like to say Hyundai. Ordinal data would be like strongly agree, neutral, right? If you went to a restaurant and they had one of those little things and it said, please fill us out and tell us how we did, and it said good, excellent, poor, fair, you'd be like, are you trying to pull something on me? That's not an order. Or if it said agree, neutral, strongly disagree, you're like, what are you guys doing? What are you doing? What are you guys doing? No, that's not an order. What are you guys doing? You guys understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Ordinal data, not just that it can be put in order, that it has an order it must be in to make full sense. I like it. So people always tell me it's ordinal because I can put it in this order. No, it has to want to be in that order. Has an inherent order. Become a word. Okay. So those two, doesn't break down quite this well, but it's basically this. Those two are the qualitative type ones. And the next two are going to be the quantitative. So that's the first thing. When you have a problem that says, what level are you at? And your answer to this is always going to be the highest level. So ordinal is a little bit higher than nominal because there's more you can do with it. Now I'm going to get into the truly numerical stuff, which means I'm going to be able to subtract, divide. There's more I can do with it, right? So the third guy and the fourth guy go together. So let me put these down here. Interval and ratio. Where do you guys know the word interval from algebra? Where's that word interval used? Interval notation. What does interval notation